Right, Kawasaki KLX300 SuperMoto. This will be the second bike that we're riding today in the Kawasaki demo days. All right, see if we can find first gear. And we're getting ready to go.
Ninja 400, KLX300 SuperMoto, KLR650. Yes.
All right, I'm particularly excited to ride this bike. Supermotos have been very popular as of late. If you are not familiar with supermotos, it's very similar to a dirt bike. Then once you make those street legal, you have your dual sports, which are then street legal, but typically are still built for off-road use, have the knobby tires and such. And then you get Supermoto, where we take that a step further, put 17-inch street wheels on it, street tires, and boom, we are ready for the street. So I particularly have been interested in getting a Supermoto at some point in time, just because I think they look fun. So we're going to see if that tests out today on this 300, and we're going to see how much power we've got in this thing as well. So far I am pretty comfortable on this bike. You'll see the dash, you'll see the similar tachometer setup, but not the TFT display, but similar to other Kawasaki bikes. And we'll see how this thing comes on its side. Turn signal off. Okay. All right, I have a fairly neutral upright body position, so I am taking up quite a bit of wind. On my mirrors, I noticed that to see behind me, I really have to move my shoulders and my head in order to do that. Let's see if I can adjust these at all. Okay, these mirrors are about almost useless to see directly behind you without really cranking that elbow, but you know, they will work. But yeah, you're going to be cranking that elbow if you want to see behind you. The looks of this bike, this thing looks fantastic. The color wave is awesome. That Supermoto look is super fun and super popular. Lightweight, lower cost bikes. This one's a 300. There are larger Supermotos out there that you can buy from the factory. So this one is purpose-built Supermoto. The SM, if you haven't caught that yet, stands for SuperMoto, so that you can take this out on the street. Now for the dash, pretty simple. So what I have is my tachometer, I've got my odometer, I've got my miles per gallon, and I've got a clock. I do not see a gear indicator on this bike, so that is not something that I see here for me. I'm currently in top gear. We're going about 66 miles an hour, and I'm rocking about not quite 7,000 RPM. Red line's up there closer to 10.5, and riding pretty comfortably. This is not a powerhouse, I can tell you that from the get-go. Just my initial observations is if I'm wanting to accelerate quickly, this may not be the bike for it, but that's to be expected with a 300. And I wouldn't expect this to be your highway bike of choice. This will likely, this would ride on a highway just fine. If you've got short stints that you're commuting to and from work with a backpack on, or going around town riding, this would be just fine. If you're going to do any highway miles at any length, I would say this is not a good bike for that. We're going to turn, get into the other lane. We're gonna see if we can take us up a little further. Let's see if we can hit 70. Boom, we hit 70, guys. Whoa, nope, did we? Did we hit 70? All right, guys, so we're gonna hit 70. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. 1, 2, 3, go. We might hit 80. We hit 80, guys. Good job. Good job, we did it. All right, Let's get back in our line. We are cruising in this group on this ride. This going a lot faster than the last demo ride I did. So that's good. All right, so as for the seat, I can move all over this thing. I can go up way far. I can get up here if I want to. Bend my legs forward. I can sit way back. You know, this thing's actually pretty versatile from a seating position standpoint. Like if I want to get up close, I can get my legs really up in here. Now, if you got longer legs, that's probably not what you're going to be trying to do, is have your legs way up here on the front, because you're going to be struggling to reach those pedals. So halfway up the seat, that's what I'm going for right here, which is pretty comfortable with my seating position and my height and my leg length. It's got a nice little grunt to it. This bike weighs just about nothing. If you're curious of the specifications, we'll have that right here. Looks like I do have a fuel indicator. I have a temp indicator. I've got bright beam indicator. Yep, that works. Neutral indicator, as well as my turn signals. So that's on that. I wonder what mode does. Let's see. Let's see what we can get in mode. Oh, trip A, trip B, odometer, trip A, trip B, odometer. That's what the mode does. And then you've got your reset button there for you. Okay, we learned something. Good job, guys. Second ride of the day, so we have this route down. All right, guys, we're gonna see how much get up and go this thing has. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Not much. Okay, yeah. So this bike is not going to thrill you in terms of acceleration. It will get up to speed. It will get up there without much of a fight, but you're not going to get your adrenaline pumping in terms of speed with the KLX300SM, or not necessarily speed, but acceleration. Left me wanting a little bit more on that one. But then again, we are talking about a 300cc bike. I think it's actually 298 based off of the advertised spec. But yeah, so I think it's probably adequate for what I would expect out of a 300cc bike. So it's cruising here at about 40. This is really comfortable. I could ride this for some time, just like this. So for a round town bike, I think this would be great. Oh man, feel that. This thing is so lightweight. You could just flick this thing left and right. If you got this thing into the twisties, like if you around here, if you go down to like Arkansas, that is some of the best twisties you can get in the Midwest area right there, around Kansas without driving all that far. So a few hours you can get down in the twisties. Now the trouble with this is that while this would be a blast down there on those Arkansas twisty roads, getting to Arkansas would be the fun part, because then we're talking about highway miles all the way down there. So if you're going to try that, I'd say, you'd be fine, but you're going to be able to beat up when you get there. All right, go. All right, here we go. I'm getting left behind. All the sport bikes are leaving me behind. All right, turn our turn signal off. Now, none of the bikes, I learned this, none of these bikes that are here today have any type of turn signal auto off feature. So is that something you're used to, you're gonna have to think back in your old school pants, and you're gonna have to turn off your turn signal and remember to do so. But hey, it's kind of nice to have a little bit of bare bones, not too much added on it. Look, I mean, this is a good example of that. No, no TFT display, but everything on this is extremely completely adequate. Like, you don't need to, there's nothing that you leave for wanting on this in terms of features. You're not going to have any cruise control, you're not going to have any of that stuff. That doesn't really belong on this bike at all anyway. But it also contributes to the fact that this will be a blast in the twisty, but if you live around Kansas City like I do, you know, there's not a whole lot of twisties to be had, unless you really know where to look, and even if that, they're not all that great. So heading down to Arkansas, you'd be having a decent little fun ride getting down there, and probably going about 50-60 the whole way. Although we demonstrated that you can get up to speed on this. See how it turns sideways. Let's get up in RPM a little bit. No, we don't want to be up in RPM a little bit. So if you get up to RPM on this bike, you will start feeling vibration and then some. So if I get, it's really you kind of feel like you're struggling a little bit when you get up there. All right, guys, so far, super easy to ride, super flickable. This thing would belong in the twisties. So if you live in a spot where you've got some mountain spaces to get into, this bike would be a hoot. Going 40 or 50 and just cruising through those turns, this thing would be super fun. That's where this thing should live. Got a little debris. Warn the folks behind me. Again, these mirrors are not great. So I said that'd be probably one of the complaints, is that these mirrors just, it's hard to, I mean, they are tucked in, so depending on where you're going to ride this, I mean, that may or may not be important for you. They're okay, but boy, if I want to see what's actually behind me, and these do not do you any favors. Commuting, I don't know if this would be my first choice. You could commute on this thing. I mean, really, you could do just about anything you want on this bike. You could take it on the highway. You could take it in town. You could commute with it to work and back, and it would be just fine. However, it would not be my first choice for miles, long miles on the highway. It would not be my first choice for. I wouldn't say it'd be my first choice for much of anything, except for, you know, if I lived in some mountain ranges and wanted to do some twisties, or if I was looking for a low cost solution for around town riding. I want to be able to get high gas mileage, which this does not give me any type of fuel indicator on this bike. So I have no idea what fuel mileage this thing is getting. So if you want something that's just a quick around the town, you're not worried about power, you may get into some twisties, and that would be a lot of fun. This might be a good bike for you. If you're just learning how to ride, this would probably also be a really good bike. It weighs nothing, so you don't have to worry about that weight if you start to get a little sideways. You can flick it around. There's not much to manage on this bike. There's not very many features. You don't have all these gadgets and gadgets and buttons and all these things to do. It's pretty bare bones, so it'd be very little to distract you. And if you just want to purely learn to ride a bike and that's your goal, this is a great one to do. It will grow with you for a little while, but then if you're wanting to look at any larger miles, you're going to want to do something else eventually. Gosh, this thing's so light. You're at a stoplight, you can just tilt this back and forth, no big deal. All in all, a fun bike if you know what you're getting, and if you know what you want, and if you know what you don't want. You know, if you've got those things down, this thing would probably run forever if you take care of it. All right, let's kick this sucker into neutral. Neutral was easy to find. Let's find it again. Let's see if we can find that again. Yep, neutral's easy to find. Let's find our kickstand. That was easy as well, and our kill switch. So All right, thanks for going on this ride with me. That's the Kawasaki KLX300 SuperMoto. Thanks for watching.
I'm so gone, no I'm never turning back. I won't stop, I'ma fight until there's nothing left. It's
It was good. It was good. Yeah, not definitely no powerhouse.
Okay, yeah.
Definitely not a powerhouse, but you know, just putt-putting around town bike, or if you could get it in the twisties, that thing would live in the twisties.
I bet you